Right. Also, you might have to, let's see. I'm not seeing where my post came
That's
up on
fine,
the
don't worry about
page.
it. Alright, guys, so welcome to Professional Goblins. So Mike is out in New Zealand now.
Yeah, he's out gallivanting in the Shire without us.
I know, right? Oh, I have an echo here from someone. There we go.
Yeah,
Apparently I'm streaming
I
myself
told you
somewhere.
we should rename it to Professional Gremlins.
I think that's what we are right now. Oh, that's where we are, because I'm streaming apparently on Twitch too. Alright, so yes, we are the unprofessional gremlins, apparently. We are definitely pretty unprofessional, and we are definitely not goblins, as Mike is not here. That's how this works. Anyway, Deanna Roberts will be joining us a little later. She's a wonderful artist. What an artist cake. We have Nation? Nation? Anyway, he told us how to pronounce it last week, and I still can't remember it. Anyway, so we are going to be... Savannah was gracious enough to come and step in for Mike in his absence, so hello, thank you very much.
No worries. Here's my co-pilot, Pelly.
Hello, Pelly. That is awesome. I have a corgi down here, but he's being grumpy right now. Grumpy corgis are a thing. So anyway, if you guys don't know, our show is a formatted one. We go over a few topics. So today we have Fleming Crab's Household Magic Catalog to review. We're going to go over it real quick. We're not going to do personas today because Mike is at home. My dog's now bringing me toys. Good. We're going to go over our favorite characters, or a character we have learned a lesson from. Then we will be doing a favorite working project, favorite new project that we're not involved in. We will then do a bit of Starfinder speculation. There's some good stuff coming from there. We have some D&D 5e stuff. Then we got some, we're going to talk about King Arthur. I got to see that in a pre-screening. That was pretty fun. Then we're going to have Kickstarters. And then if Dee's on, I hope she will be, we will be, she'll take it away, we'll talk about whatever she wants. So if she suddenly pops in, guys, that's why. She'll just, she'll pop on when she gets here. So anyway, yeah, so let's kind of jump into that household magic review. Savannah, you were telling me before that you had some strong opinions on this.
Oh yeah, no, it is absolutely delightful. I am a huge fan of fairly mundane magic items. I once designed a magical cheese knife for one of my homebrew campaigns, so this is exactly what I would enjoy. Like, there's a magical armoire that cleans all of your clothes.
It doesn't mend them, though. It doesn't mend them, but it does clean them. I love it. It's like prestidigitation.
It does mend them, but afterwards it keeps them clean, but it does not keep them mended.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. You put it in there, it doesn't.
Yes, and when you wear it for 12 hours afterwards, it keeps your clothes clean. It's amazing.
You know, I always thought prestidigitation was one of those, I mean, I know it's not underrated, but underrated spells is just basically the I can do anything spell. Supposedly you're not supposed to be able to kill people with it, but we've always challenged ourselves on ways to kill people with prestidigitation.
I can accept that challenge.
So, like, for example, there's a pissed off bull, and you're just like, your shit's red now. or like in ancient China, only people of a certain age could wear yellow. It was very disrespectful as the emperor's color, unless you were really old. So just while the guy enters the courtroom, you're like, now you're wearing yellow, and he's just like, hi guys, oh shit, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I suppose you couldn't kill people directly with prestidigitation, but, you know, by proxy.
Oh yeah, totally. Get them killed is, I think, is the way to do it.
But yeah, the graphics are utterly charming. The tone of the piece is very, very early 19th century catalog. It's wonderful.
For what you got, if you haven't had a chance to look at it, Fleming Crab's book is basically like, it's from the series letters to, or from the Fleming Crab, which is like letters from an old boat that washed up, and inside there, this one is like it's set up like a catalog where you can order things, and each page is its own little like write-up, but it also has like buy war bonds and stuff like that in there, with some really cheesy artwork.
New spells.
Yep, new spells. I love
like update decor, which sounds very posh.
I love it. We as someone who does all the formatting for my thing, oh my god, I love it. I did a book called TV the RPG a while back, and it was kind of written like this, except it was the whole book like that, the whole game system like that. So I love the way that was formatted. It was beautiful. My dog is giving me toys.
Very generous.
I know. So, but yeah, overall, as I'm not that bro or anything, I cannot do it in character, but damn straight, that thing is 5 out of 5 in my book. If you want to buy it for the laughs alone, it's worth it. However, you'll find some great stuff in that book. You'll find some. You'll at least get a lot out of it. It's one of those things like it seems long, but it only took me like 10 minutes to go through the whole book, maybe 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very image heavy, very spaced out, but definitely packed with a lot of good content. And I feel like it would be especially great for either a city-based game or throwing something in like a wizard's tower. Like, what wizard would not have an armoire that could clean their clothes?
So yeah, that was kind of the review of that. 2 thumbs up. Holy crap, you guys, keep it up. I was really hoping D would be here. Anyway, so the next one we're going to go on to is your favorite character. This could be one in your game that you're currently playing in, or something from the past that you've learned something from.
Do you want to go first, Scott, or should I?
No, by all means.
All right, so one of the games that I'm currently in is a new World of Darkness Mortal game that I play online.
Mm-hmm.
And we've deemed it Catabolic Nights. It's very classic White Wolf urban fantasy. And my character is Zane Blair, the utterly self-absorbed and incredibly gorgeous actor. And he was recently kidnapped by the Fae, even though he doesn't realize it. He thinks he was abducted by aliens. And in being abducted by the Fae, he gained the ability to pass between the veil, because once you do it once, it's easier to do a second time. And my favorite instance was the fact that he opened a portal to another dimension by looking smolderingly into a bird bath.
That's beautiful. So I have a confession to make. I am not a huge World of Darkness guy.
You heretic.
I know. I've read the books. They have gorgeous artwork. If you guys hear a weird noise, my dog is running frantically back and forth right now. Oh, good boy. Come here, Kurt. Come here. Or go under the bed and bark. Good. Anyway, so yeah, I like the system. It's not my vibe. I grew up in the 90s, and there was just an inundation. Like, I was just inundated with like vampire and kind of like that whole aesthetic, and it never really did much for me.
That's fair.
It gets a little pretentious for me, and the people who introduced me to it were like super pretentious about it, and I was just like, I like making fart jokes, and they're like, that is not how we roll. I'm like, okay, bye.
See, I didn't actually play any White Wolf at all until about 2010.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely avoided the inundation, and also I started by playing Hunter. And of course, Hunter, aside from Mortal, is the lowest powered old world class. But Hunters working together are amazing. I'm just saying.
They're terrifying, yeah.
They make great bad guys, actually, because they're, especially for vampires, they're immune to mind affecting effects.
And if you play, oh man, one of these days, we're gonna get Christos Gerd on here. Mike and I played this game together. It was called, I forget what the hell it was called, but it was a Pathfinder game. We used a third-party supplement to play monsters, and it was a bunch of developers all in the same group. And I ended up playing a vampire named Count Kazuto, and we decided out of game that you get bonuses if you rapped, and it was like 4 or 5 bad, like really really pale white guys rapping, and it was it was the whitest thing you've ever heard. It was great, and I'm streaming good. Just want to make sure, and it was a nightmare. It was like. So talking about mind controlling, being immune to mind affecting effects, the whole character was just based around mind controlling. I didn't have to do anything in that game. It was sickeningly effective. We gotta get Christos on here for that. That was too crazy. Anyway, favorite character I have. Something I learned. I'm gonna do one from the past. I'm currently doing a million other things. I'm not playing. I play in one shots a lot these days. I don't get a chance to run a full on campaign. My NBA tends to take up a little bit of time. So in the past, let's see. No. Okay, I'll tell you one I learned a lesson from. So, are you familiar with the Cortex system at all?
I am not, actually.
They've had a bunch of different systems run in it, but Firefly runs in it, the game, the official game or whatever. So, I played a male companion in that game. I'm assuming you're familiar with Firefly, right? Okay, good. So I played a male companion. I made an official, like a professional prostitute. And he was all about his social aspects and being everything. And this is a lesson about playing with the context of the group. I really hope the guy who ran this game never saw it because I hated the way he ran it. I told him so I'm not really that upset. So we're at college, and I'm trying to play things straight. I'm going through the mission, I'm working at things, and we have another player who decides that he wants to play this game entirely like, not just like funny, like I have no problem with funny characters. It's Firefly, you have to crack a joke every now and then. I was cracking jokes right and left. We had like Africanized bees attack us for something. Someone was attacking us, so it was fun.
Good.
And I was trying to resolve like this complex political situation. On the other side, the guy, I come back and the bees are attacking us, and we get in the ship, and I'm like trying to flare the engines to take them out and everything. And the way that the thing is resolved is my co-character there, Rick rolls the bees and they all die.
Oh.
And I'm sitting there like, I just roleplayed for 2.5 hours straight to resolve this thing. I come up with a legitimate solution, and Rick rolling the bees is the way to go. Like, I mean, I get that everyone has to have some satisfaction from the game, and competing motivations often is an issue for groups, but it really felt cheap. Like, even to this day, I remember that was like one of my worst gaming experiences. I basically got up from the table and I was like, tonally, you were here, and then you just went way the hell over there, you know?
Competing goals, I feel like, is much less of a problem than competing tone.
Yeah, I think maybe that's a good way of putting it. My friend Dayton Johnson always used to tell me, a former designer of our, I don't know, he's freelance with us now. He used to be in-house. He used to always talk about differences in player motivation. So, for example, some people show up to the table to optimize, to play that mechanics game and win. You know what I mean? They want to win the math. Some people are all about role-playing. Some people are more social. Some people are more exploration-oriented. I mean, that gets into the whole...
right. Sometimes, like, I actually enjoy playing, like, not purposely nerfed characters, but under-optimized characters.
And, you know, I'm
like,
the same way.
I ran with an Oracle who could barely cast spells and had Profession Surgeon and every disease known to man, but was hilariously roleplayed.
And, you know, here's the thing. To me, the way you win at role-playing is by enjoying yourself. Whoever at the end of the day had the most fun won. So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of what I learned from that. Is I think I learned more about how to GM from that one. Because everyone else was more tonally where I was. And then we had one guy start going down. You familiar with the game Custard's Revenge?
I am not.
It's an icky game from the arcade era, like early arcade era.
Wait, no, I take it back. I've seen this. Yeah.
It is a game where you play as a cowboy and you go around, you shoot at Indians, and then you rescue a female Indian and then you rape her.
Right. Yeah, no, that's hella icky.
It is super icky.
Of course, I mean, with a name like Custer's Revenge, I mean, it's not gonna be good.
It would never be PG-13, but it was just really icky. We had another player who joined. There were two or three of us who were really like, all right, let's play this like Firefly, and the other two were just like, he built Custard's Revenge 2 out of parts from the ship, and we're just like, really, man, really, and we were just like, yeah. Well, okay, here's an interesting thing. It's kind of getting off topic, but we'll get off topic and we'll get back on. So I went to year or 2 years ago maybe, I went to Gen Con, and there was Paizo did a production a board on a big thing on diversity in role playing, and it was a very interesting talk. Unlike some panels on diversity in gaming where it's all white men, it was a bunch of different people on that thing, and someone tells a story about a time they felt really uncomfortable at a game. It's like, you don't need to bring up that topic at a gaming table, you know? You're not going for an Emmy. You're going to make people have a good time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it just felt like a lot of times people will dive into topics to be edgy, and you're like, no, man, that's not cool. You don't know what anyone at this table's gone through, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. But yeah, tone-wise, it's like I talked about my Skulls and Shackles game a couple episodes ago. I'm really glad that everyone was on the same page, because I was ready to run it straight.
Mm-hmm.
And they all went in with, very low experience, but their first reaction was to bust out laughing, and so it's suddenly like, okay, gear shift, we're running this as a comedy.
And that's perfectly fine.
But thankfully, yeah, and everyone was immediately on the same page,
Mm-hmm.
but good if there had been a clash there, because you can't, be a gritty pirate when someone's over there, like, cracking up about pirate talk.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's move on to the next part of this. So it looks like, according to our little schedule here, you have a project you're working on that you want to talk about.
Yes, it's certainly not anything for money at the moment.
That's okay.
But for my Skulls and Shackles game, actually,
mm-hmm.
My players asked me to create a druid version of Bob Ross. And he's going to have profession happy little trees, or no, craft happy little trees.
You better release this for free.
And theoretically to be able to take happy little tree form.
That's beautiful.
Yes, so I'm trying to figure out where to insert him, because there are only so many, surprisingly, there are only so many druids running around. So we'll figure it out. But if anyone happens to have any suggestions on how best to create Bob Ross the Druid, feel free to let me know. It's been very interesting in that they actively request things, which is certainly not bad, but isn't
That's
something
beautiful.
I've ever done with a group before.
See,
it's a very nice communal storytelling element.
I go ahead and after the first game, I go write like 20 pages of content. I'm like, hey guys, whatever you want, it's right here. And they're like, we don't want any of this. I'm like, okay, never mind, I'll go publish it.
No.
I've actually gotten a fair number of things published because players didn't want to use them in the game. Let's see, favorite project I'm working on. So I brought up, we released Social, Path Social. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. Okay, so we have a system called Free Wars. Free Wars is, guess what? Free. It's a kind of super rules light. Like, literally, you could fit most of the rules on like 2 or 3 pages. Like, if you had a big size thing, you could put them all on there. Front and back page, maybe you'd probably, I could fit it on there pretty easily. But we do nice formatting. So Free Wars, anyway, we what's he calling it? Iron Skies, I think it is. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
We are doing sorry, I'm going to go look at the project name here. The first one we're releasing, because it's Ian's project. He changed the name a few times. There we go. He is under Sky's the Limit is what he's calling it, sorry. So anyway, Free Wars is a tabletop army game. You can play with anything you have. You can play with papercraft miniatures, you can play with tokens, you can play with whatever, we suggest 22 minis, like you might find with like Warhammer or whatever, but you can do whatever you want with it. So anyway, we released the Pioneer setting, which is like a sci-fi exploration one, but we're now publishing 3 more settings, and the settings are supposed to be like, Free Wars is the console, the setting is the entirety of the game. So each one is entirely different with multiple factions and stuff. So Sky's the Limit is Ian's first one. Ian Sisson is, I want to get him on here too. I want to get everyone on here. Let's have a party. But Ian's first project really is Sky's the Limit, and it's kind of like ye olden, like, it's not steampunk, but it's like Victorian airship battles. Kind of magic punk a lot. It's very cool. He has like wind mechanics now that are really simple to use. And what made me think of it was you were talking about your druid, the Bob Ross druid. One of the factions are the druids who can control the wind and stuff. It's so much fun to do. Because most of the time it's like if the wind's blowing against you, you have to your movement's halved, and if it's with you, it's like doubled or whatever. Or if you're moving the direction of the wind, it's doubled, like directly wherever it's pointing. And last night we were talking about the mechanics for it, and he started talking about how the druids have this ass that they can take that's like, all right, and we screw the wind, it's going that way. We have, and they're all they have to be up close to hit people. Everyone else is like ranged. Actually, the system is written for ranged rules, and it abstracts melee combat into it. But they're only up close, so they really have to be like up close and like smacking you in the face. Mostly. So they really want to be like, oh, I can move an extra, 6 inches. Bye, guys. But we got his coming up. We have Barbarians of the Acid Seas, which is as crazy as it sounds.
Yeah.
I just took a quality hit for some reason. That's weird. You are now a pixelated thing. Anyway, so... Oh, I know why. A second here. Let's see if that works. Anyway, Skype started up, that's why. Anyway, so, that one's more about, like, post-apocalyptic acid seas. There's like a period in Earth's history where we had giant scorpions and stuff, and the sky was red, and there were, like, 2 celestial bodies up there. Well, one was a lot smaller, basically a big meteorite for a while. So I kind of based it on that, and they have seas of acids that, like, would eat through a ship, except the all-powerful materials down there, and the game revolves around barbarian ships going out and trying to harvest it. But, yeah, so that's what I'm working on. I'm pretty stoked for that. But yeah, that's pretty... We're pretty stoked for that. That's coming out in a week or 2. We just released Social, and then we're going to have Rift Riders. I'm so excited for Rift Riders. That's a Mutants and Mastermind thing. It keeps growing. We keep getting better artwork, and Deanna, who would be on today, is... where the hell is she? She's doing some art for that too, which is great. Your birdie's talking, adorable.
Always.
Let's say I had birds growing up, and I could never keep them that like quiet. Mine would just eat me.
She is being surprisingly sedate for her. My Catabolic Nights game is never complete without her screaming into my mic. Everyone can tell when it's about 7 o'clock because that's her bedtime, and she will purposefully go along my shoulder, get to the mic, and scream in it until I'm like, okay, guys, 1 sec, and put her to bed.
That's adorable.
Yeah, it's Belly.
So, next on our list here, we have favorite project that you're not working on. So, it looks like you have 2 things here, because I don't have any.
The Sphere of Might was not mine, so I only have
that
one.
is mine. Aha! There is one that I'm doing. If you guys don't know, then I will go. Sphere of Magic, if you guys don't know, is, was a really famous third-party book. It kind of gave us this whole new magic system. It was a lot of fun. And Sphere of Might is kind of their follow-up, and they're doing a lot of playtesting for it. Let's see, I think we're still doing playtesting? I'm pretty sure it is. I made an old thread. But yeah. Are they done with that yet? Actually, they might be done with it. The Drop Dead Studios is still doing it, I think. It was starting at the end of March, so. So, let's see. Looks like they're still doing it, yes. So yeah, anyway, it's not a new project, but it's one that I really enjoy following, so. Spheres of Might, check it out. It's what they did to Magic with Martial stuff.
Cool. All right, so my current project that I have an eye on. So as many of you know, Twin Peaks is rebooting. And so in the theme of that, there is a role-playing game called Tall Pines, which is where you end up exploring a murder mystery in a small mountain town.
I wonder where they got that idea from.
Yeah, I know, right? It's so innocuous. Um, so yeah, no, it sounds awesome. I must confess, while I am aware of Firefly, I have not actually watched Twin Peaks. So as someone who is about to dive into that to get ready for the reboot, it definitely seems apropos.
It does indeed. I mean, a lot of Stephen
So
King
yeah.
stuff is just like that too. So
Yeah, I think it's interesting in that it inverts the usual, in role-playing games, you're usually going somewhere off and having far-flung adventures and, doing this, you very much get the small town atmosphere, which is completely different. Like, usually you at least have a large urban center or something. No, this is very close-knit and suspicious and small, and I don't know, it's interesting.
that's awesome.
Mhm.
Well, that's one thing that I always find. I'm going to link this back to Pathfinder here a little bit. I really find kind of annoying about like rangers. I mean, I know you have there's all the alternate rules for shifting your favorite terrain, but a lot of the game plays very, very, very differently if you are centered in a small location. Like
Mhm.
if you have access to a metropolis with all the magic items, it all makes sense. But when you go to the general store and you're like, all right, I want necklace of fireball and I want a headband of charisma, and they're like, we have beats. I have
Right?
this horseshoe over
We
here.
might have a magical armoire on the back that cleans your clothes.
it cleans my clothing. Very useful. I will sell it to you for like 10 times the listed price, and they're like, but it's a small little town. We have to be really social. That's one thing I always feel like. I don't. If you guys have watched the show, I don't run as many modules like adventure paths as other people do. I just it's not my speed. I like improving too much. That's one thing I do get a little bit jealous about with like pre-scripted adventures. I'm like, oh man, if only I had a pre-scripted thing. Then I mean, I do some like layout stuff ahead of time, but like just picking up a book and having 10 pages worth of NPC background is just great to have. So, excuse me. So yeah, I really wish that I had that sometimes in a game where it's just centered around like the small little town. It's so much fun.
It's also interesting sometimes when you have to say they want to go up and buy a necklace of fireballs and you roll to see if it's available. Whenever I was marathoning with the Order of the Amber Die, we were, I can't remember what we were trying to get. It was a belt of Constitution, I think. A great endurance, I suppose it'd be. And so we were trying to get it, and we had been across the continent to like 6 different cities, and always we're trying to find this belt, and always the GM rolls and we don't get it. And it was just infuriating, and that character that we wanted the belt for died by 1 hit point. And we're like, what? What the belt? Why? So sometimes, like, even if you don't have that plan, the dice just sort of decide that you are screwed.
It's the random number gods. We so I had a discussion with a professor of mine who's been playing since second edition, first edition, red box, and he was like, yeah, but back when we were playing, magic items were like, oh my god, and you had to go on a quest to get like a sword to like you get the gem for the hilt of the sword, and that was a whole quest. And then you went and retrieved the sword from the bottom of the lake, defeating the lake monster. You got the sword and the gem, and then you brought it to the mythic dwarven forge in like the tall peaks, and then you had your +1 sword. Maybe not +1, but you know what I mean, right? Like that was magic items.
You finally
before.
got a magic item.
And now you're like, nowadays it's just like, that's only +1. Maybe I'll just whatever, That's why in a lot of games
I do like how 13th Age handles it.
Yeah.
Magic items are much rarer in 13th Age, and it's usually not something quite as straightforward as a +1 sword. And also, they all have personality traits that they impart to you, which is my favorite part.
See, with when I do games like that, I like to run them with, you found a Vorpal sword. You're like, really? We're like 5th level. I'm like, it's way more interesting than a +3 bastard sword of whatever. They're like,
right?
Really? Like, yeah, go for it. Or like gloves of shaping are hilariously fun. Gloves of Shaping and Lyre of Building are like my two favorite like items ever. You know what Lyre of Building does?
Yes. Well, vaguely, I couldn't recite it, but yes.
What it does is, as you play it, it does the work of like 3 men for like 1 hour, like every round or something, in terms of like moving Earth, which can do a lot of dirty, dirty things. Like, oh, I want to make a staircase that's going up like this. We'll go ahead and start building the staircase, you know? Or, and the other thing is, it can make any, there are very few like binary things like, this automatically does this in Pathfinder and D&D. Lyre Building, if you play it, a wall that you're on or adjacent to becomes completely 100% invulnerable. You cannot break it. It is just absurdly powerful. It is so much fun. And Gloves of Shaping allow you to mold like things like stone or steel as if it was like muddy clay.
See, now I feel bad because, again, whenever I was playing Strange Aeons, we ran into an Otyugh merchant who had a Lyre Building, and never having actually...
Oh, I was going to say, we have outlawed it in our games because of that.
Yeah, no, that was one of the things, and never having used it in game, I was like, it's fine.
It's one of those things when you read it, you're like, oh, that's not so bad. Then you put it in the player's hand, and you're like,
I have made a mistake.
Oh. Like, for example, get in a barrel and play your lyre. It is completely immune to all damage. Get a bottle of air and a sandwich, and you can outlast the enemy. We had shrinking barrels. We put shrinking barrels inside of shrinking barrels, and we had them both be immune. It was ridiculous. But anyway, so yeah. So I think we're going to get back on track.
Highly overrated.
Yeah, it's okay. Mike can get mad at us smart, but we're the unruly, unprofessional gremlins, so we can do that. So in Starfinder and Pathfinder news, I only got really the one I don't like as much is so I know it kind of came out before, but Fantasy Grounds now has Pathfinder on it. I'm not as big into like virtual tabletops and stuff. Like honestly, give me. Where's my dice? Give me a dice. It's a Paizo dice, actually. But give me a dice and a Google Hangout, and I'll run a game with a bunch of people. I use Roll20 a lot nowadays, but I don't really care. If I have a Word document and some a dice, I'm happy, you know. But it's going out to Pathfinder now, which is cool because a lot of people use that system. They're pretty stoked about that. It's kind of an official thing, I think. So.
Also, best thing about playing on Roll20 is that you don't have to wear pants.
I mean, do you think I'm wearing pants right now?
Well, I mean, this is basically the conversation version of Roll20. So.
Exactly. I for the record, I am.
But I mean, you hang out with your friends. I'm gonna assume that you generally wear pants.
Most of the time, I wear pants. I swear this is not like. I swear that's not. I lifted up my leg and I'm like, oh god, it's flesh colored. That's not good. But yes, I do indeed wear pants when I do this, believe it or not. Though I have worn shorts during one of the episodes because I was just like, oh god, I gotta get some, a collared shirt and shorts. That's great. But yeah,
that's usually whenever I hosted at my house. We would play at like 10 in the morning.
Oh god.
And I was in college at the time. I didn't want to be up that early, so I'd message everybody. I'm like, okay, you can come over now. I have pants on.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like I can't guarantee anything else, but I am wearing pants.
At least pants are involved.
Yep.
So the other two things are Starfinder news. Actually, they showed one of the iconics, but I don't really want to get into that very much. I want to talk about them when they're all out. But there are two classes they kind of gave us a little taste of: the Envoy and the Operative. Now I like the Envoy because I love social characters, as evidenced by our social thing. We just put out big social book, really fun. But yeah, anyway, the Envoy is your social character. They have some stuff that allows you to kind of like, they're kind of like a space bard, except not as buffy from what I understand. They give us some fiction, a class feature or two. They have one that kind of opens up their enemies to allies if you make successful checks. I like that both of these classes are very skill focused, like skill heavy. Like they have other uses for skill than just, or stealth is just not hiding. Bluff is not just telling a lie. In this case, like the Operative has some stuff where it can use a bluff check to do this thing. So on to the operative. The operative is, they were like, when in the paragraph they said something like, everyone keeps saying that this is gonna be like the Star Rogue, and it kind of is. Star Thief. I'm like, Star Thief sounds like a cool word. Literally stealing stars.
It kind of does, really.
I know. I would play a Star Thief. I don't know what that. Ha ha! But so yeah, they have that. It has some, instead of like, it has like something called like trick attack, which is not sneak attack. They made that very clear. It's like if you think it is, it's not. It's much more like, it kind of sounds like dirty trick, kind of inflicting conditions and doing other weird things. But you make a skill check involved with it. The envoy also gets some extra like D6s to apply to skills, especially the social skills. So it's like you roll your D20.
Well, and they're skill monkeys out the wazoo. I mean, they both get 8 skill points, 16 class skills, like.
Mm-hmm. And I like that about that. I like that about D&D when you get the skills involved more. Because if it's just a straight like whole thing about just roll a dice, see if you hit, it kind of gets boring after a while. I want flavor. I want options with my thing.
Right. Well, and the idea of like sort of a trick shot setup, it's just real good.
One thing that was kind of cool I noticed, I picked a little lineup, was sniper weapons are listed as a weapon proficiency type. Which is kind of cool. I'm like, ooh, I would play a sniper. The problem is when you start getting large distances, you start getting the whole like. So I'm like, there's like, it comes up in Shadowrun too a lot, where people are like, all right, I'm a sniper. I'm 2 miles away from the combat. I kill him. I hit this guy. All right. Now they can go, and they go, and it's like, they get in the car and start driving towards you. You know.
Yep.
I'll see you in a few rounds. You know. It's an APC.
Yeah, I always enjoy. As a GM, you have to be very prepared for sniper characters. Because, you know, the sniper is very powerful and can operate at very long range. However, they're also very focused on things that are not in their immediate vicinity.
Mm-hmm. We had.
I was in a GURPS game where we were doing a sort of Left 4 Dead setting. And our sniper was doing great until a bunch of hunter zombies spotted him on the rooftops, and he ended up doing a yakety sax maneuver across a couple rooftops and almost getting mauled to death.
That's good. We had so we released I'm really interested because we released a sci-fi setting really early on in Pathfinder's development history. Our big projects were always Legendary Levels, which was epic level Pathfinder. Then we went to Necropunk, which was our own big setting, which was very sci-fi heavy. And one of our prestiges was actually a sniper. We published all these cool sniper weapons. They use what are called mag rails, which are like they propel slag at targets.
Oh.
So you get splashed with molten metal when you get hit. It's really gross, and it tends to punch holes in people the size of like softballs. And the distance one is like I think it's normal projectiles. But remember, we have a high tech weapon that you shoot something, and wherever the bullet hits, you teleport to.
Oh,
so the sniper.
Interesting. So
the sniper was like, "All right, guys, ready, aim, and shoot!" and stab somebody. Oh, it's so cool. We had the rogue using it. Speaking of which, the operative also has a cloaking field he can use, which sounds a bit like abstracting equipment a little bit, but. And it doesn't stack with invisibility, but it grants you kind of invisibility if you don't move. But yeah, there's lots of weird stuff you can do with that. So I'm really interested to see how they did it versus how we did it, so I can kind of go, oh, I like that. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, it sort of reminds me a little bit of like the Rogue's Evasion.
Mm-hmm.
Because on the surface, evasion doesn't particularly make no sense. Like, there is a fireball 40 feet around you. How did you not take damage from that? So my theory has always been that despite the fact that evasion is listed as an extraordinary ability, it's actually supernatural. And what they do is blink suddenly out of existence and then come back. And of course it's listed as extraordinary, but I mean, it's not like the rogues would tell you otherwise. So I see that as somewhat with the operative. It's definitely secretly a supernatural ability.
when we wrote our book, Alt Path Martial Characters, we discussed the fact that most of them were mundane characters. We called it Terra Natural, which is actually a term which means something that is mundane but appears supernatural by way of skill or training. So that's what we use, a lot of that descriptor for things. So I see evasion, something like that. Evasion being more a for example, maybe you were on the problem is it happens way too often. But like the fireball comes and you jump to the ground, you roll, and you grab a shield that a skeleton had discarded, and you cover behind it, and then you get up. Or you hid behind the fight. You roll behind the enemy for a second, you rolled back or something. And it's like, I get it, but it happens way too often, you know?
Right, and it's like, what are the odds that a shield was there?
Every time you needed it.
Yeah. Yes, sweetie, I know.
So yeah, that's the Envoy and the Operative. I'm really psyched to see where they go with it.
Also, I'd like to say that I appreciate that for the Envoy, the iconic Envoy that they have a picture up of, like, that is a lizard person. That is, I appreciated. I appreciate how they went with, like, by human standards at least, like, non-conventional beauty standards.
Oh, totally.
Like, it's clearly, like, this person operates by, like, being charming and that sort of thing. It's like, that is a lizard person. I appreciate this charming lizard person.
Sorry. I'm still trying to find out where Deanna is here. And she's not coming on today. That is unfortunate.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time. So let's go with the next thing is D&D 5e news. If you guys don't know, they release a thing. They have their whole section for. They have a whole section on their site for their new materials. Sorry, your bird is really adorable.
Yeah.
So they talked about subclasses today a bit more. They revised them. They have a guardian thing for. See, they have a guardian for the barbarian. They have a tensai for the monk. They have a dueling.
The College of Swords for the bard sounds hella cool.
Let's see. There is anything else on that? I don't think there was.
There was the arcane archer who was actually a fighter. Yep. And there was the favored soul, which I'm really excited to see because that's definitely one of my favorites. Yep. I definitely see it as more of a cleric thing, and it's interesting that they went instead with a sorcerer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely more of a divine flavor, but still.
Yeah, and I like the original favored soul, which was basically kind of a more martially supernatural cleric anyway. So I guess I get why they went with it for sorcerer. It adds some nice flavor. That sorcerer, I think, always lacks a little bit of. I mean, I get the difference of study versus inborn ability. You know, academic versus magical mutant dude. But I don't know. Part of me has always said they need a bit more flavor. I always like the wild mage from 3.5, where it was all about that stuff. I always picture that as the sorcerer. You know, their spell, they don't cast their fireball. There we go. By going woo doo 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 doo, they do it by going and yelling at someone, and all of a sudden just fire ignites in a big pattern, and you know.
Yeah, I think part of it is that it's so. The difference between wizards and sorcerers is so flavor dependent, and how you portray it in game. The mechanics aren't super distinctive.
Well, one of the things you have to remember is this is the Vancian system. This is basically Greyhawk magic put onto everything. We literally have the whole like the whole sorcerer wizard dynamic is entirely conceived of like early on. It's not a trope thing. It's actually from settings. We just carried it over and over and over for some reason. Right. Which is very bizarre. I mean, early on we had basically clerics and sorcerers and bears, oh my. But they were all just magic user originally. And they get brought over, and then they get divided a little bit, and then originally Paladin was a fighting man subtype, and Druid was a cleric subtype. I think it was priest even back then. But yeah, so I get where it comes from, but I really think that they should be kind of one class, flavored differently.
Right. I don't know. I see your point, but sorcerers is just one of my favorite classes that I just couldn't bear to actually see them be the same thing, if that makes sense. Like, I had a Star Soul sorcerer, and, you know, it was great because as they leveled up, you know, constellations appeared on their skin, their eyes went black. Magic missile, they were tiny shooting stars.
That's cool. But see, that's flavor. That's what, you can do that with sorcerer or wizard, though. I feel like you could.
Sorcerers are just better than wizards, in my opinion. I love blaster casters.
So you're a warlock fan then?
Yes, very much so.
I actually think. That
warlock... I always play a barbarian, even when I'm not playing a barbarian.
See, I feel like warlock is what sorcerer should have been. You know, to a degree.
That's fair.
Because wizards should be the option of war. They have every spell in the world known, and they have the best spells all the time. But a few times a day, you know what I mean? They have the highest magics, but they're gonna throw that 9th level spell out once a day, and you're like, oh shit, he just dropped a 9th level spell. While the warlock has like his progressing tricks that go up, and you're just like, all right, I'm gonna blast. So yeah, we design a lot of classes. I think there's something like, I don't want to admit how many we have. We have way too many. One of the things I always find as a designer, it's really a challenge is designing things that people can play easily, and blasters fill that niche really well.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Because if you go, all right, you have these spells or whatever, and you have this one class feature that is just a blast of damage. Hey, Deanna, welcome. You're showing us the back of your computer. And let's see. Deanna, can you hear us?
Wrestling.
Hello?
Hey, Dee, what's
up?
Hello. I am so sorry.
Not a problem.
No problem at all. So yeah,
every gamer likes a chance to go on about their characters, so I'm...
Yeah, clearly.
Fair.
So Dee, it's been a while.
Yeah, a really long time.
Let's say we talk just about every few days, though, via Facebook, but not often. So you know what? We're going to rewind a little bit, because we kind of are a little ahead of schedule right now, actually, time-wise. So we're going to let you talk for, like, ever now. How's that sound?
All right, sure.
So, Dee, first off, you want to tell them who you are, what you do, and why we should care? Because they should care.
Indeed.
All right. I am Deanna Roberts. I'm also known as Archer or Zeit on a lot of different, like, DeviantArt and for Affinity and things like that. I am a digital artist. And
a good one at
that. Huh?
A good one at that.
Aw, thank you very much. Speaking of which, did you want me like working on a piece while I talked or anything like that?
Oh, you don't have to do that. I mean, we normally just get a camera up if you got one.
No, I don't.
Okay, that's fine. If you want to work on a piece while you're doing it, by all means, you don't have to though.
Okay.
As long as it's PG-13.
Yeah, fair.
So anyway, Dee, I've worked with for a long time. You were not one of the first goblins, but you were in the first batch of goblins at Little Red, I think.
Yes. I was brought on by Viking.
Yep, Viking brought you on. You guys don't know, Little Red started out of my college actually, and we had a lot of artists on, and we kind of went from big to small, and now a lot of freelance stuff. So anyway, Dee, so the first thing we're going to ask you about here, because we have kind of a formatted show, we're going to kind of rewind and give you a chance to talk about it. So do you have a favorite character you're playing currently? Or do you have a character, like a D&D character, or a tabletop character, or a character you've played in the past you learned a lesson from?
So actually my favorite D&D character was actually kind of forced on me.
Oh?
Yes.
Oh wait, real quick before you start, hi, this is Savannah. She's an adorable bird.
It's true.
Hi, Savannah.
Hello. This is Pelly. She will have intermittent comments because
I'm sure.
That's what birds do.
Mike is out in New Zealand, so she is filling in for us right now while he is gone.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
But anyway, Dee, so take it away.
All right, so my favorite character, like I said, was forced onto me. We were playing a normal campaign that was going to turn into a Gestalt campaign, but
was it D&D 3.5 or what?
it was actually Pathfinder.
Okay.
I interchanged them. I'm
Nice.
sorry about
That's
that.
fine. I just wasn't sure which one you were talking about. But yeah, go on. Forced on you.
Yeah, so it was the character. What we got to choose was we had to roll dice, and all of our stats were chosen specifically based on each roll. So like we started at Constitution and rolled, and that was our stat.
Wow.
That was it.
So like pure random gen. Holy crap.
No,
Yeah,
that's intense.
That is really intense.
But we got to, so we started at all the stats like that, and then once I got all of my stats done, I ended up with like 18 in Constitution, 17 in Strength, and a 20 in Charisma.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So how you do it.
Yeah, right?
And that's before you pick your race, right?
Yeah, it was before I picked my race.
God.
So I decided to pick an orc.
Good.
A full orc.
Oh wow.
The most charismatic orc.
Mm-hmm. I had the most charisma in the game at level 2. I had 8. Like, or a plus, or not charisma, sorry. In diplomacy, I had a plus 8.
I had a game where I ended up, I was playing I didn't realize how it worked, but I wanted to play a Goblin Rogue. That's the infamous rut. And so I didn't realize small size gave a bonus to stealth, and goblins have a bonus of stealth on top of that. And I think I had like a plus 8 at like first level 2 for that. It was just awesome. Gross. I was just like, I hide behind whatever, and they're like, "What'd you roll?" 28, and they're like, "Oh fuck you, man." I hide behind the enemy. That's not possible. But anyway,
we had a friend in the same campaign who actually would hide under tables. Like it did not matter what kind of table it was. If it existed, he was under it.
Nice.
And we had no idea why.
The GM let us.
Okay.
We had a Shadow Dancer at one point, and with 2 Shadow Dancers in the same party, the Paladin ran up to hit something, and technically it just says you can hide in a shadow. So 2 Shadow Dancers hidden 1 Paladin's shadow. So when they went to attack the Paladin, all of a sudden popped up, hit the thing, and would just go back down. They'd be like, "What the fuck was that? What the fuck was that?"
That's awesome.
But yeah, you were saying, sorry.
No, it's okay. Speaking of ridiculous things that I've done, I also played a gnome with, we got to put points into things, and she had 22 strength.
Oh, good.
It's a long story. Well, with her items and everything, she had 22 strength, and she used a tower shield that had more or less a slingshot on the front of it, so she could swing it to where there's like a little stand and use it as a giant slingshot.
Beautiful.
And she used her speak with animals and a couple of other things to basically convince animals to let her launch them off of it. And at one point, a couple of friends of mine decided, you know what would be really fun is if we put a belt that constantly makes the halfling a size smaller, because we had a halfling.
Oh no.
And then, no, it was the belt made them a size bigger if they decided to use it. And then we had someone who used reduced person on him.
Oh,
and so at one point we launched him off of the shield at them, and then suddenly he was 2 sizes bigger, swinging an axe at him.
That's
just the fate of halflings. You will get flung by somebody or something at somebody or something.
Right?
I published a thing on a blog. It was going to be a book, but it sat fallow for many years. It was called Things I Hate Halflings. I feel like they're underutilized and used the wrong way. But I wrote a bunch of feats that were like, how to punt a halfling, how to throw a halfling. Like, straight rules for it. Because they're required. It's like what you do half the time. Fastball special to halfling barbarian, you know?
Yeah, I liked the book I worked on for you, Equinox.
Oh, yeah.
And halflings were universally hated, like, more so, because they were the only people that didn't they didn't change at all, and they remembered everything. So they got to just watch the world go to hell while
Equinox
everyone hated them.
was a setting that basically two planes crashed into each other. One was a good plane, and one was I don't know if it was good or bad. It was just good and
different.
Everything. Yeah, different. So
I was gonna say, how do you have an evil plane?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's literally the plane of evil, but you know.
Oh, okay.
Two literal planes of existence.
Yeah, no.
Each other.
For some reason I was thinking of airplanes. I'm not sure why, and I'm thinking of an airplane with a mustache.
That's beautiful. I mean, there's Blaine the Mono who's.
All right, I'm drawing this.
Good. Please do.
So Equinox was two planes crashed into each other, and every 6 months, I think it was every 6 months or a year, you shifted forms into something else, like. Humans became orcs, but they were like bloodthirsty mad orcs. So like every 6 months, you'd black out for 6 months and then wake up like, what did we do? You know, and the and the halflings were the only ones unaffected by it, and they were like, so they remember everything. So right before the switch happens, they're like, guys, we're going underground, locking the doors. We're going to we're gonna barricade ourselves. And they're like, guys, what's the problem? We don't have any issues. And the orcs the humans are like, we'll be fine, we'll be great. And they're like, no, you don't know what you do. You don't know what you do. But so Dee, do you have a favorite project that you are working on?
That's a good question.
That's always a hard one for artists because you're not always, because I know Nash was actually writing something, but do you have anything you're working on?
Hold on, I'll actually show you real quick. Oh, cool. This is what I'm working on right now. I'm really proud of it, actually. It's fan art.
Is that the one that you posted up today?
Yeah.
See, I follow, she has a wonderful Patreon, I happen to know.
Yes. So that's what I'm working on right now. It's Pure and John from Ruby, which I honestly had not watched until last week.
Oh my god, you sinner! You sinner!
I know.
I
haven't seen it either.
You're a sinner too, damn it.
Anything.
Actually, I have to admit I didn't watch it till this year. But no, it's one of those series that when you first watch it, you're like, oh, that's a little, that's CGI. And then by the end of it, you're just like, what did they do? Oh my god! It's like Steven Universe level feels sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to feel that many feelings again.
But it's also pretty badass.
There are also I get frustrated with it specifically because there are a lot of writing rules that they just straight break.
Mm-hmm.
That really aggravate me. Like you saw my live updates on Facebook as I was watching it.
Uh-oh.
But
it was.
So yeah, that's the project you enjoy working on best right now.
Yeah, that's the one I'm working on that I enjoy the best. But I'm also working on I need to start. No, that one I've actually gotten pretty far on. A card game that's really fun. Yeah. But I'm designing the actual Yes. Oh, I'm so excited.
Let's say I've looked it over. We actually recently hired Kayla, so.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, she's working on the Mutants and Mastermind stuff with me right now. She's a great editor.
That's awesome. Yeah, she really is.
Well, she actually was my business manager for a while. Now she is going to be an editor and writer for us. I always thought that, on top of her being an awesome writer, I always thought that women in gaming are unbelievably underrepresented. And suddenly Kayla was like, I want to do something like, come, I will promote the shit out of you, go, 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 you know? So we're going to have fun with that. So yeah, we skipped over all that stuff. You can catch up by watching later. So we are not going to, we're going to get on to, this is a kind of a scripted show, not scripted, what's the phrase? We have a schedule kind of a formatted show, there we go. I know these words.
There we go.
Words are hard.
But anyway, so we're at the part we're going to talk about media of other interest, and we're going to hold off talking about Guardians of the Galaxy 2 until Mike gets back. I know he'll have strong opinions.
I haven't seen it yet anyway.
Okay, even better. So that means I don't have to feel bad about it. Guys, it's really good. Go see it. Holy shit, it holds up. It's as good as the first one, if not better. And that's saying something. It's probably one of the best movies in the Marvel MCU.
I hear that Teenage Groot is really sassy, and that's all I need.
there's like one scene. Oh my god, your art is adorable, by the way.
I have no idea what a plane looks like. So you know.
It's so villainous. I love it.
Let me see if I can move this over. So anyway.
When you finish it, you must share, because I must cherish the image of this evil plane.
So anyway, I get to see a little early. I get to see King Arthur: Legend of the Sword by Guy Ritchie. It's the best D&D movie in a while. Has fuck all to do with King Arthur, but it's a fun D&D movie. They had wargs. They had a lot of magic. They had magic swords. They had magic. They had magic snakes. They had magic eagles. They had magic.
Magic. I like it.
They had magic.
Good.
They literally had magic that affected magic. So there's some really cool set pieces. It's a fucking Guy Ritchie movie, though. It's like criminal elements, British, back and forth, rapid humor, fast-paced, way too fast-paced for its own good. You guys ever see the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes?
Yes. I'm very fond.
But say it's that, but with King Arthur. If King Arthur was like one of the brothers from what's that? Boondock Saints, maybe, in medieval times. I know that sounds weird.
Are there bromances? Because that's why I watch the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes.
Right.
Unfortunately, there's not a lot of like. I don't know. Probably not. Really, what he does is one of the problems with it is the pacing is really bad. It like a character dies, and I'm like, who the hell? What was their name? I challenged my wife afterwards, and to be fair, I couldn't do this either, to remember one character's name other than Arthur and this character Blue, because they keep yelling Blue like 50 times. And none of the characters until the final like scene where their night names or whatever are you can't tell who they are anyway. Oh, he's Sir George, I guess. Ha 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 ha. That's clever. But apparently King Arthur was also an MMA fighter. You guys knew that, right?
Oh yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
It's really
MMA
common
fighting.
knowledge. I don't know how you didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a scene where he's like, ah! And he's just yelling at the screen while, like, pumping his fist. It's really weird. My guess is that they're going to get one sequel out of this with a lower budget, and then it's going to peter out, and they're not going to be able to do it. I almost guarantee
if they're really unlucky, it'll get a straight-to-DVD sequel.
I don't think it will get that. Guy Ritchie won't let it happen. I honestly think, though, the reason that they are doing this movie is because Guy Ritchie wanted to a third Sherlock Holmes, but Robert Downey Jr. is too expensive now. And they were like, we need another British literary classic that I can use. All right, we'll do King Arthur. That sounds great. It's super British. So, I think that's what that was.
I mean, it is super British.
It is as British as shepherd's pie. It's super British, right? Yeah.
Shepherd's pie is so good. I don't think that's British.
I'm pretty sure I want to say it's Scottish, but
yeah, that's what I would say.
UK? Right, British as the Queen. How's
See,
that?
I feel like they'd be really angry if they heard you equating.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm Scot, so I'm Scottish.
I see how it is.
That's clever, isn't it? So, like how D, you had to look up what a plane looked like.
I really don't know what a plane looks like.
He just looks so cute. I can't get over his mustache. It's so good.
And he's like chewing his own mustache there. I love it. So let's talk about some Kickstarters that are currently going on. If you guys didn't know, Rifts has a board game. There's a cool intro, like cinematic, where they have a bunch of glitter boys fighting a dragon. Kind of CGI. It's fun. Savannah, you get a chance to look at that video?
I have not actually.
It's pretty fun. It's not the greatest CGI, but I'm pretty pumped for it. It looks like super simplified Rifts. Rifts, you guys don't know, is like post-apocalyptic insanity role-playing game. It is beautiful.
Oh my, that is a very impressive. Oh, yep, here comes the dragon.
Yep. And then we get more evil plane. I love it.
Oh, he's getting line art.
Oh, beautiful. See, now we were hella unprofessional today.
Well, he just told us not to break anything. I don't think we've even, scuffed anything today.
Yeah, we're not
falling down the job, Scott.
I know. I got a bloody nose earlier. Does that count as breaking something?
I don't think it.
I mean, you didn't do it, live. So, not really?
I've broken something. I've broken a tissue. Take that, Mike. We have broken a tissue in your absence.
Yeah.
We're truly the most unruly. Sorry, I now have to do the King Arthur thing.
Oh, I have.
But anyway, so D, it looks like he's I know it's the mustache, but it looks like he's chewing on his beard, like a neck beard, eating his own beard.
Should he have a little goatee? Hold on.
Yeah. Clearly.
Yes.
There you
go.
Oh, yeah. No, that's good. That's good.
So, D, while you're drawing here, or sorry, Savannah, do you have any Kickstarters you want to talk about?
Not currently. This is actually kind of a weirdly dry spell for Kickstarters that I'm in on.
Because the
No, Pelly, you don't have a Kickstarter either.
Well, we could run one for Pelly. I'd like that.
I don't know what she would do. I mean,
tweet adorably.
We could have a good GoFundMe to buy her more blueberry millet. It's more expensive than you'd think. But yeah, no, Tall Pines is still funding, so you should totally go support that and go solve some murder mysteries.
So, D, you have any Kickstarters that you just think are the coolest thing in the world here?
Draw Like a Boss is actually on their round 2 where they're doing hardcover books.
Yeah, tell us about Draw Like a Boss. What is Draw Like a Boss?
Okay, so Draw Like a Boss is, it's a book. It's an art book, like an art learning book, where it starts you out at level 1, and you go through and you learn different things about art, and the more that you learn, the higher your levels get. And there are missions where you go and basically you technically fight other monsters, but you're drawing specific things like composition-based things and hands.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's so awesome. It's 300 pages long. The whole book's finished. Now they're just trying to get it printed. It's really, really cool. And the art style is super cute. One of the cutest.
Mm-hmm. Is it
very,
or is it
No, it's more, I don't know. I'm sorry, I mix up Aztec and Mayan all the time. I shouldn't. But it's more along that style. It's very blocky, and it's beautiful. I love it.
Well, all the Nogwal stuff is going on. I can tell you exactly the difference between them, and it's not much. I mean, it is a lot, but at one point that they were kind of split, and then they kind of went back. And long story short, in the pre-classic period, they were largely considered the same people, and post-classic, they were separate, and then they went ahead and, elements. Basically, there was this culture that moved over here, and then another culture came up from South America and combined and made the Aztecs, and then the Aztecs went up and conquered the Mayans, and then the Spanish showed up, and then everyone fought the Mayans because everyone fought the Aztecs because no one liked the Aztecs, and they liked the Spanish. They didn't know how bad the Spanish were, but they liked the Spanish more than the Aztecs. In fact,
at least for a bit.
What?
They at least liked the Spanish better for a bit.
Oh yeah. Well, the weird thing is, Aztecs wouldn't actually be remembered that much because they didn't actually have a great hold. The Mayans had empire for 1,000 years. It was a huge period of time, and the Aztecs had it for a very brief. It's like Mayan, Aztec, and then it's but that's when the West made contact. Europe made contact with them more or less. So it's the Aztecs. They were clearly in charge the entire time, and everyone's the Olmecs, the Zapotec. None of these people get anything? No? Okay.
Also, to continue my trend of mishearing things, when you said, and suddenly the Spanish showed up, my brain very briefly thought you said, and then Savannah showed up, and I'm like, no one told me I showed up with the Mayans.
Well,
you clearly worshipped as a deity, which means you had people sacrificed to you daily.
I mean, yeah. I'm super down with that.
They also had the Festival of Skin, by the way. Do you know what the Festival of Skin was?
I mean, that sounds suspiciously like something that should be in Horror on the Orient Express.
It should be, because it was a celebration where they had a person they had sacrificed, and then they peeled its skin and wore it.
Oh,
they walked
good.
around
Yeah,
and they
no,
danced,
that
the
is
priests
definitely
danced.
the cult of the skinless one sort of stuff.
Guys, I'm wearing someone's skin. It's adorable. Ha 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 ha.
It's kind
All
of
praise
like
to our
the
deities.
Pathfinder spell. I forget what it's called, but it's where like you animate your own skin, and it just sort of walks off, and like you can have it do things.
I love the spell Create Treasure Map because it's literally so you peel a creature's skin off and make a map of its greatest desire. I'm like,
Right?
that's
Right?
not what I was expecting when I read that spell.
No, can't you just like lay out some parchment and it like appear? Do we have to do that?
So there's another spell, Vomit Swarm. Okay, and
Right.
when I read that on the Alchemist spell list, I'm like, do I vomit and then it forms into a swarm and it flies around? Does my vomit go everywhere and like attack people? Like, that's awesome. They're like, no, you vomit a swarm of ants. And I'm like,
That's way less awesome.
no, I can work with this. And they're like, I'm like, if you're high enough levels, you vomit a swarm of bees. And I'm like, all right, that's horrifying. I love it. I had my goblin sneak in invisible next to someone and then just stand in his room, literally just like Paizo goblin, like just open his mouth and all of a sudden you hear this buzzing coming from somewhere and the person's just like, what are you doing here? One moment, they're coming. And then would just be like, open his mouth, and just bees everywhere, and then he just disappeared again because he had a ring of invisibility. And they were just like, and the next day they were trying to like convince their friends, no guys, seriously. I can't explain. I had a mutagen active, so I looked all weird and shit. And they're just like, I don't know. This horrifying thing was in my room, and it vomited bees, and the party's just like, oh, that's rut. Yeah. Like, what's a rut? And it's like, don't worry, it's fine. Oh, okay.
It reminds me of the Swarmonomicon that Rogue Genius just put out. There's some swarms in there that it would be very interesting to vomit up.
Alright, so Dee, you've come into the part of the show where you get to talk about whatever you want because you are our guest today. So is there any topics that you are just dying to talk about? That do not involve your adorable plane.
No. Thank you. I would have been a little more prepared had I known about this. Scott was like, you know what would be fun? Let's put Dee on the spot.
Sounds great.
No,
So I know you have a Patreon. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Sure. So my Patreon is, it's Archer Kasai, or patreon.com/Archer Kasai. And it's, basically you can go in and you pay a subscription to me as an artist, basically saying, I love your work, here's a few dollars, please keep doing art. Because, you know, artists have the mantra starving artists more for a real reason than a joking one. And
and right now you're getting a new tablet, is that what you're getting?
Yes, I'm working on getting a new tablet. I have a Unova MVP 22U right now. It's version 2. I've actually been with Unova for about 4 years. They're awesome. I love them. Everything about them. Their colors are spot on. Their pressure sensitivity is better than any other tablet on the market. And it's like, this particular one is so big that it's what I use as my monitor. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's really, really awesome. So, I forgot what I was saying. Oh,
Patreon.
But my tablet, huh?
You were talking about Patreon and tablets and bears, oh my.
Yes, and so my tablet has, Unova has one issue, and it's something that happens in about 2 years of use, of lifespan, whatever you want to call it, where it'll start to flicker, and it's only in one little spot, and it's right in the center of the screen, so someone with, you know, yeah. It bothers me, but it'll eventually, once that stops happening, basically the wires are just getting too squished, and so once that stops happening, the whole screen's going to turn like a green-purple mix. It looks kind of like vomit. Yeah, it's gross. So
Good.
So I need to figure out what colors you need to use, right?
Yeah, it's really, really great, except you can't color pick them. So so that's where my tablet's going to be in about a month to 2 months. So I've started doing commissions at like a lower price than I normally would. I'm doing your character here commissions, where basically I draw out a character and then people bid on getting their character put into that spot. So like right now, the one I have going on is this one. And one particular person that actually buys a lot of my art, he's super awesome. Notice how SB here, that's starting bid, and I started it at $10.
Oh, I saw that today, and I was gonna bid on something. I'm like, oh, she did he drop like $100 or something?
Yeah, he just drops $100 off the boat, and I'm just like, oh, all right, cool.
Starting bid $10. I mean $100.
Right. Can't beat that.
We had a guy on one of our Kickstarters who I did not know. I still to this day do not know him. I've chatted with him since then, but he's just like, no, I'm cool, whatever. He dropped like $500 on our Kickstarter.
Oh.
For Necropunk, I think it was, or like $500 or $700. He's just like, yeah, sure, whatever. Apparently, he's a doctor from like Australia or something, and he's just like, no, I just like supporting games. I'm like, well, we like you. What can we do for you? Anything? He's like,
yeah, absolutely.
He's like, just send me a copy of the PDF. I'm like, cool. All right. You will have the first PDF.
Didn't you try and like offer him a chance to design a class or something?
Oh yeah, totally. That was for the no, that was for Gonzo. No, that was for Necropunk, and it was just like, what can I do for you? Can I commission art for you? Can I do this? Can I do that? And he's just like, nah, just be good. I'm like, we will keep going, bro.
Yep.
And there are people out there. There are good people who support artists. I always feel weird calling myself an artist because traditional like drawing pen on tablet art always is like, to my brain, like to the common like zeitgeist is like that is an artist. But then you're like, well, what if you make music? Okay, yeah, that's an artist. What if you do sculpture? That's an artist. What if you write? Well, you're an author. I'm like, oh, well, it's art. And they're like, yeah, I guess, but technically, sort of, kind of. And I'm like, no. But
no,
it always makes you feel like an imposter. What?
No, as an author, you're an artist. That is like hands down, you are.
I know,
an
but it makes you, it gives you it worsens the imposter syndrome. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel ya.
Savannah, you've never felt the imposter syndrome, have you?
Oh no, absolutely not.
No one ever has.
No, clearly.
But so let's have you talk for a moment about. So you've worked on things for different projects. I know you did artwork for different game projects, and you've done stuff for us. So what advice would you give anyone who is interested in doing game art?
First off, create every single day, even if it's just having to put a pencil to a paper. I messed up. And just sketch something really quick. Go out of your way to create something every day. Something that I actually saw in a video that really spoke to me was to just make a commitment to yourself. Even if it's just, sit down, pull out your tablet, and make one line. If you can do that, then it'll increase your motivation to want to make another line and go, well, this can be this today. And if you're creating every day, then you're going to have enough of an art base. Not everything's going to be perfect. Not everything's even going to be good. But you'll have enough of an art base to go, all right, I have all of these 100 samples of my art style that I can draw for you. So when someone's going, well, I want to see an example of your style or things like that, they can immediately see it instead of having to do an art sample or things like that, because I lucked out with you guys. I took a huge bet specifically because I went to school with you and Viking, and that's the only reason. I never would have done an art like sample for you guys otherwise, because I had several pieces stolen for doing that.
Really?
And it's not, yeah, it's something, it's a huge scam that people pull all the time. So, I was really discouraged in doing that. It's something that I really didn't do anymore.
Nowadays, you know what we do, by the way?
Huh?
You know what we do nowadays, by the way?
What's that?
Nowadays, we pay people for our tests.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's not like $1 million, but like, we did when we were sourcing things for Necropunk, we were like, hey, do you guys want to take a crack at this? I'll toss $25 your way if you want to. $25 your way. Just see, like, do whatever $25 gets you. Let me just see what you think about this. I gave them a prompt, and they turned in some really great stuff. It was really hard choice on who I had to pick. You know what was really sad? What's her name? Ariel. You remember Ariel?
Yes.
So Ariel turned in something like 3 weeks later than she should have. And I might have chosen some of her stuff, but she turned it in so late. And I'd already, like I gotta have this in like a week. And she's like, okay. And like 3 weeks later, I'm sorry. And like, you know, because it shouldn't be you guys taking the risk. It should be the person producing the content taking the risk, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So, but I still might use some of her stuff. I might contact her for some other things. But, yeah, I mean, honestly, Hey, Kirk, hey, buddy. I love working with you. I love working with artists who are responsive to stuff. That's the number one thing to me beyond basic skills and prices are, will you contact me? I have this guy, you guys saw the 3D thing from Nogwall that I posted up, the little miniature. That guy is really not super, I keep bugging him from the, hey man, just want to touch base on this. Hey, just want to see how this is working. And he is very unresponsive right now, and it's weird because he approached me about it, and I was like, okay, so.
Well, as an artist, people like you, people who immediately will go, hey, I have this new thing that I need to work on. I have 10 artists that I've commissioned in the last month, and all of them are awesome, so I'm going to message them first before going to anyone else. You're kind of our bread and butter as artists. Like, you guys are the kinds of people that we need to be focusing on impressing. You know what I mean? So, so when I get a piece from you, I'll even tell you, you know, this might be a little late, but I will try to get it done within the next, like, 4 weeks.
No, that's fine. And, like, as long as there's, like, communication, a lot of times I don't really care. It's like, someone will be like, oh, it'll be 3 weeks instead of 2, and I'm like, okay, whatever, that works. Just get it in. And especially because people like you'll update me. Here's a sketch. What do you think? I'm like, sometimes I'm like, that's a bit much. But you know what? Here, little red guys. What do you guys think? Let me know. I don't have to answer the question. But no, it's great to see our stuff come to life, and it's great to see know that we're supporting artists in the best way we can.
And that's like honestly the most awesome thing that, in my opinion, as an artist that you do. Is you're very, very supportive of your artist. I don't know where I'm going with colors on this, by the way.
It's okay. It's evil,
does
I
look
get it.
very evil. Like the red windows and eyes. It's very evil.
Alright, hold on.
So we're actually coming to a close here pretty soon. Savannah, any famous last words here?
I think we're gonna have to try harder to break things next week.
Okay. I will get some.
But other than that, I think we're good. I mean, we really gotta bring this thing down in flames before Mike gets back to stop us. So.
I know. He'll have to help pick up the pieces.
I like it.
Anyway, guys. So thanks again, Savannah and Deanna, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
For co-hosting today. And you're looking for it too.
No.
So anyway, guys,
thanks, Belle.
Thanks a lot for going. This has been Professional Goblins, and I hope we see you next week.